turn up the dial, feel the vibe, get ready to ignite. Untold stories in the airways, flying through the night. Experience voices, tales so bold. Streaming live, the truth unfolds. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's so I remember right. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can't hide. Aliens in the attic, UFOs in the sky. Cryptids lurking, oh my, oh my. Ghosts in the hallway, whispering your name. The paranormal, the unexplained. Become a VIP, get the inside scoop. Unlock the mysteries, be part of the group. Live streaming stories, they're talking to you. Super chats buzzing, join the crew. Untold Radio Network, where secrets come alive. New episodes daily, the mysteries thrive. Great guests, super chat, it's a wild member. Share and subscribe, join the side where truth can hide. So if you've got the guts and you want to explore, tune into the Untold, it's what you're looking for. From aliens to ghosts and all that's unseen. Untold Radio Network, where the world's mysteries convene.
Good morning, monsters, and welcome to Monsters on the Edge. I'm your host, Barnaby Jones, and we are on the Untold Radio Network. Today, we are back live, so if you guys have any questions or comments throughout the show, make sure you put them in the comments section, and we will get to them as soon as we can. Guys, I want to remind everybody, we are Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society is my team, my group. We research all over Wisconsin and beyond. You can find us on all your social media platforms at Wisconsin Caps on Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube, or WI Caps on Instagram. You can find all those links and more at wisconsincaps.com. Make sure that you check out my book. It is on Amazon. Bigfoot is Hiding. It is about 10 years of research and experiments and stuff on a special 80-acre private property in Upper Michigan. You can find that at Bigfoot is Hiding, Hyden, on Amazon. Or if you want an autographed copy, find me anywhere that we are at a live event or on wisconsincaps.com. Speaking of live events, April 12th through the 14th, we are going to be in Baxter, Minnesota at the Brainerd Psychic and Wellness Fair. I have a brand new presentation for you guys there on Saturday morning, and I will be presenting again on Sunday afternoon on cryptids. So guys, make sure you come check that out if you're anywhere in Minnesota. And May 18th, we are going to be at the Hodag Heritage Festival in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. At that event, that evening at 7 p.m., we are going to be taking a group of people out into the woods to show them some Bigfoot stuff that is in the area. It's going to be kind of an informational, educational hike. And tickets for that are available at wisconsincaps.com. Click on the public events tab. And of course, guys, we are going to be at the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention May 31st and June 1st. Tickets are on sale for this event. They are $15 in advance or $20 at the door. Myself, Doug Hychek, Rich Daniels, and Chad Lewis will be the speakers for this event. If you can't make it in person, guys, we have virtual tickets. So for just $5, you can watch this event live and hear all the speakers from the comfort of your own home. So wherever you are, for $5, you can hear all the presentations from that day, and you don't even have to be anywhere near Wisconsin or Michigan to still get attending. And May 31st, the night before the convention of June 1st, we are also going on a Bigfoot expedition in Upper Michigan, just outside of Menominee, Michigan, to the Hayden Adventure property. Myself and Rich Daniels will be leading that expedition. So if you guys are interested, make sure you get tickets for that. There's only a few tickets for that event left. All right, that's all about caps. And if you want to show your support for all things here on the Untold Radio Network, here's how.
Hey, Untold Radio Network fans. Want exclusive perks and to support our channel? Introducing our YouTube membership program with 3 amazing levels. Get loyalty badges that level up to different cryptids the longer you're a supporter. How cool is that? You'll also get access to custom Bigfoot emojis and priority in chat. Upgrade to Backstage Pass for exclusive wallpapers, photos, status updates, discounted books, and merchandise. Go all in with the producer level for everything mentioned plus member shoutouts. Ready for an enhanced experience? Join now, pick your membership level, and let's make this journey even more exciting together.
All right, guys, we are back live again today here on the Untold Radio Network. As I said, the past couple weeks we had pre-recorded because my guest just can't make it live. But today my guest is live. He is here to answer all of your questions and comments and all that fun stuff. So if you guys have anything, make sure you put it in the comments section. My guest today is James Lady. He is a Detroit-based photographic artist and the founder of the Michigan Aboriginal Project. He is the only photographer on the planet to have captured on camera Kid Rock, Edsel Ford, and Bigfoot. He boasts the largest privately procured collection of recorded Sasquatch vocalizations, including conversational speech and a variety of other vocal modalities. He had multiple interactions with Sasquatch and has recorded on audio 2 of his encounters and a 3rd recorded on video. So without any further ado, we have a lot of cool audio and video stuff to take a look at today as well. Please welcome to the show, James Lady. Hello,
Thank
sir.
you. Thanks for having me. I'm, as I said earlier, I'm so grateful to reach your audience. So I'm great. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. We are glad to have you here. I know my audience is going to be excited anytime we have any kind of audio or video stuff. It's always fun and exciting show. So we got a lot of stuff. You've been sending me some cool stuff here, and I think you have one that you wanted to do like as an introduction video. So if you want, we can do that right away.
Yeah, it kind of sums up my take on my current take on this situation after all I've learned about and experienced. So yeah, have a listen.
Absolutely. All right, take a look at this. Very cool.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah,
So
I'm
go ahead.
just trying to deliver a message and deliver all that I've observed and learned. And this is my perspective, my take through, and I hope to add a little artistic sense to it to make it a little more enjoyable. And in there, you heard two examples of Sasquatch speech. The first one was conventional speech paired with the melodic clicking and clucking, which so many people report hearing during their encounters. And the latter stuff was captured during about a minute of multiple subjects throughout a valley, communicating some time over the night of October 22nd, 2022, up in northern Michigan.
Northern Michigan. I was going to ask you kind of whereabouts the state it was, but pretty cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Northern Michigan is where I do most of my work. Although wherever I go, I'm going to Dayton, Ohio. I've actually picked up vocals down there in a little creek, part of the stream and river systems of the glacial moraines. Picked up some stuff down there. Picked up some stuff in the UP. So anywhere from Southern Ohio to Southern Michigan, Upper Michigan, and the UP, I've gotten vocals on a pretty consistent basis, which anybody can do. And I encourage people to get out there. And if you're intrigued by what you hear today, all it takes is a recorder and a little willingness to hike and in likely places and find the structural artifacts that they leave behind. And that they just tell me that they've been there. They will likely be there again. So I leave a recorder to verify that these structures are in fact created by our hairy cousins.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's start out here. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this topic, because I think there's more to dig into there as well.
Yeah, well, there is. We joked a little bit earlier about my need to run to the creek as a boy. I have three sisters and my mom, and my folks broke up early, and both are alive and with us to this day and doing pretty well. Prayers from my mom for healing would be appreciated, but we still enjoy the benefits of our parents and having them around. But my mom's first name is Gay, and my last name being Lady. It was a little tough, a bit of a rough and tumble childhood, not only within the home but outside of the home, as you can imagine. So, no, I'm just a regular guy who was curious about this whole phenomenon as a boy. And when I found out as an adult that they were in fact real, and that just was my own wits and reckoning as I went down the rabbit hole. I knew it was real. And I've known it was real from the very earliest days. It was March 2016 when I really started delving into this issue after I had actually used YouTube for a research utility for the first time. And I got everything I wanted for the portages, the fishing, the camping, all that we enjoyed in the boundary waters. But there was always that one little video that came up, and I finally clicked on it after I got everything I needed. And then that's the moment I was like, holy shit, you gotta be kidding me. And they're real. And I just wanted to see one. So I was going up in north anyway. My father had a cabin up there on this beautiful lake, and I was kind of bound to it because it got to a point where I was doing the work, which I'm grateful for because my father was paying taxes on the place, right? So it was a little escape for me going from the streams of Southern Ohio up to the beautiful gin clear lakes of Northern Michigan. It was just wonderful. And my studio, I'm an artistic photographer. My studio is Stillwater Studio, and that the namesake of that studio is reflecting on my time alone on this great lake in Northern Michigan. It's just a wonderful thing. So he sold that eventually, which was a blessing because not only was I free to do, I was no longer an indentured servant, if you will. I was able to explore more of Michigan and explore Ontario more. And, just the wilderness has always been in my blood. All my celluloid, heroes as a kid, be it Tarzan, the cowboys and Indians, and Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, both of whom actually have interactions and stories regarding these creations. I think I was kind of made for this, and it's how I get my kicks and giggles these days. I'm getting older. I don't do as long hikes as I used to be able to endure as a man, but You don't have to if you want to interact with these creations. Most often, my interactions come right from outside my my campsite. And the two audio recordings of my encounters that you mentioned came from the campsite, and the one I captured on video came from that campsite. So most often, they will visit you. But when earlier in the days in 2000, it was the fall of 2016. I was actually the first time I went out and poked around their neck of the woods. Right, I look for the structures, I look for sign, I look for topographical characteristics or features, if you will, like hills and choke points and things of that nature. But pay more attention to the military crest of places. You can find a lot of sign on the military crest below ridges. So I learned all that, and I felt like a kid in the woods again. It was really, and my adventures continue. I do. It's brought back my youth. I have a long history of depression, at times morbid depression, and believe it or not, Bigfoot keeps me sane, despite the social ostracization that one might experience, especially in a community like Grosse Pointe, where there's a lot of money around here, a lot of impressions to be made, and here I am. I keep my sanity by delving into this whole Bigfoot phenomenon.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it has been.
You are the founder of the Michigan Aboriginal Project. And, we hear a lot of different names of these creatures in different parts of the area. You have the wood apes and, all these other things. And you went with the Aboriginal Project. And we talked a little bit again at the beginning before we went on air about this. So tell us why you named it that, and what your thoughts of these creatures are.
Okay. And I'm a little ADD. If you need to bring me back, bring me back. I won't be offended whatsoever. So I do go off on some tangential. So apologies to the audience. The Michigan Aboriginal Project is essentially an organic evolution, if you will, of reflecting my thoughts on this subject. When I got into it, I thought that the North American wood ape, crowd, they were probably spot on, right? Some reclusive, Gigantopithecus-like sort of creation that is exceedingly stealthy in the woods, and they outclass us on every level, just on every level. So when I started recording, I started picking up speech. The first utterance of clearly well enunciated. I mean, it sounds primitive when you listen to it. It's on one of my earlier recordings. It was like an happy ba. When it said happy ba, I tell you, my headphones came out. I had to get away from the computer. I was like, oh my God, they speak. And I knew that because of the Sierra sounds, but I never thought I'd go out there and get some on my own. I never thought that they'd come to my campsite and actually speak. One of my encounters started with a vocalization near the river. Now, this is like 8 o'clock at night. It's October 21st, 2019. And I heard chi-chi-chu-ha coming from the river a little bit downstream. Then I heard some other madness that didn't convey as I hear it on the recording, but I heard it sounded like big swishing going on. And then a big boom, a little upstream. And that boom, I felt the percussive impact of that. And I believe it was a vocal. They have that exceedingly large voluminous lung capacity that can render a vocalization that you can actually feel. You can feel a percussive wave hit you. So, and that was madness. And I heard maybe 15, 20, seconds of that experience. And that's, at other times I could actually sense something going on. I refer to it as a harmonic resonance or percussions in the wind. And I actually say that during those 10 minutes that I've published regarding that encounter. So you heard conventional speech, other stuff that when you review the audio, it sounds demonic, sounds otherworldly. Then again, you have some other voices that sound like pixies, like as you would maybe as if you might imagine a water pixie to sound, or a fairy, or gremlins, or whatever. I've got one gremlinish voice saying, "Are you wreaking havoc?" in that cadence, not sounding like me, of course. It sounded like this little gremlinish, devilish voice. And within 2 minutes later, the same voice says, "Havoc, hate this man tomorrow." You can hear all that on the audio. I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't have the audio evidence to support my claims. And I didn't hear most of what went on that night from a vocal perspective. As a matter of fact, it was raining. The recorder was under the tarp. I didn't even listen to that for a month. So I was kind of messed up, quite honestly, after that. I honestly thought those were my last moments. And anyway, I let my nerves settle. I came home. I leave my wife out of it. She thinks I'm crazy. My kids think I'm nuts. Most of my family thinks I think, though, they're maybe coming around, thinking that maybe he's onto something here. But back to the evolution of the Michigan Aboriginal Project. I've experienced vocals. I've recorded them. I've seen them do things within the woods. I mean, they can think in the abstract. They build these wigwams, teepees, and there's a place up in the UP I found. It's a Vocal Village 2 recorder placements. If the audience wants to go and check that out, it's like a village. It's the largest and most dispersed collection of teepees, wigwams, and lean-tos. And these are the structures that I look for. And they have to satisfy, they have to be a real structure, not some questionable tree bends, tree breaks, things of that. Because truth is stranger than fiction, and weather insults can do all sorts of weird things. But weather insults don't tie, branches into a knot. That doesn't happen. It happens at the end of my fly fishing line all the time. It's like get these wind knots, but wind knots are not known to happen to trees. So, little subtle things like that. If you really open your eyes and take a look around you, back in the day, when I was in this valley, I was fishing, and I'd have a cigar in my mouth, and all I care about is fishing. My eyes are on the water. But there's so much more to discover in the woods, and I like in the woods like the depths of the oceans, and that there are things that we just don't know. Both our woods and the oceans have not been explored nearly to the extent that your typical academic may think. So, as my understanding, in current thinking, my rational thinking that they were wood apes, to my experiential thinking at this point, having heard all that I have and experienced and interacted with them briefly, but sometimes longer than that. I've had few stare downs in my life. The first one was back in Alpena when I was hunting, and I neither thought here nor there about this subject. But anyway, back to the point, the evolution of the Michigan Aboriginal Project. It went from Michigan Sasquatch as a YouTube presence to the Michigan Aboriginal Project, because I think the conversation needs to be elevated a little bit. To number one, they are a people, and they may very well have supernatural aspects to them. They do have a vocal, in all the recordings, I've identified some different vocal modalities that they employ. Like, I mentioned, I didn't hear most of what went on during those 10 minutes of published audio. I only heard a little bit of it. They were going on and be able to speak with one another within the sound of the rain, which is a supernatural ability. And if evolution is a thing, because evolution is a theory, if evolution is real, and I'm increasingly of the belief that it is not, I'm becoming more of a creationist. But if evolution is real, they were here first. They have to have been here first, not us. We are the only unique hominid species that requires abstract thought and ability to, make things and construct things, and that makes up for a lot. But I think the elevation the conversation needs to be elevated a little bit with the perspective that they are, in fact, a people with a culture that are well aware of our, existence. And I think it was Sasquatch Chronicles. Wes put up something on Leif Erikson saying the oldest recorded, written, I say no, that's incorrect. The Bible, the Old Testament, actually speaks of giants Esau was born with full of hair, right? So what these creations are, I don't know. I don't know. Though there is room in the conversation, this elevated conversation that is, there are biblical connections. I'm convinced of that. And some of them, because I believe there are many different kinds of these beings, some of them, call me crazy, but some could be the very sons of God described in Psalm 82 for the Bible folks. And if you want to learn more about that, seek out Dr. Michael Heiser's work regarding the unseen realm. This is a spirit realm. And some of these beings could very well be a part of that spirit realm. I don't know. I'm not saying they are. But Barnaby, I've recorded them chanting. And it sounds beautiful. It sounds like Benedictine monks. There's more than one of them. And you hear them, and it's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And then to hear a year or so after that, I recorded the Michigan Valley Voices. That is these numbers of subjects. I got close quarter stuff. I planted a recorder at the base of a teepee, which I do, and I know that these beings commune there, not only because of the presence of that, but I've done this repeatedly over the past 5 years. I've been recording that for a little over 5 years, but repeatedly when I leave the recorder at one of these structures suspected to be in a Sasquatch wallow, if you will, I invariably get some very interesting vocalizations. And that night, when you had so many throughout the valley communicating with one another, it is civil discourse. You got the whistle, you got a whoop, you got a call, an answer to a call. It sounds like a siren like sound, and it's all very coordinated, respectful, if you will, of one another. And it is a form of very civil and sophisticated communication. So I think that the Aboriginal sort of helps bring it a little closer to home. That word may be more acceptable to your average Joe who was like me at one point, thinking there probably exist, probably some sort of reclusive ape. Well, I'm a reclusive ape. I'm kind of a loner, and I don't have a tail, and I'm a hominid, right? So I'm a reclusive ape. I love sitting by my fire and pondering the mysteries of the world.
Very good, man. Awesome. Yeah, you got a lot of interesting stuff in there, man. And I'm not religious by any means, but I'm
formerly atheist, so I get it.
Yeah. I very much appreciate though, because when I started researching all this stuff, I did look through the Bible. I wanted to see what was in there as far as paranormal and all this stuff. And it bothers me so much when I hear people say that Bigfoot is like the Nephilim or these giants and stuff. And I'm like, no, man, in the Bible, you have what you said, Esau, this hair-covered man, and he gets banished and he goes up to the mountains. And where do you find all these Sasquatches is up in the mountains? And it's like, so I'm very happy that you actually brought up my thought on these things. Is if he's in the Bible, that's where he came from. He's not a Nephilim. He's not these other weird creatures. They're their own thing. But you definitely have this represented, and that's very good. I'm very happy.
And back to the thought that there are many different things. That image near the Myakka State Forest in Florida. That one subject caught beyond a palmetto. Myakka, yeah, the Myakka. That they, I believe they are different from those in northern Michigan. I believe the ones I've recorded in southern Michigan are quite different from those that up in the UP, which is not far from where you do your research. Afterwards, I'll tell you the spot where I recorded some of the amazing stuff, and you might have. I think you do have a couple of recordings about that, and I'll tell you after the show where that is. You can go there and see this place. I remember the first time walking through it, it felt as if I was like walking back into time, and it was ultra primitive. I mean, I felt like I walked in a space that was, occupied a million years ago by, hairy hominids. And they are yet today. It's just bizarre.
Wow. That's the way. When we go, I've been in all different forests all over, the Wisconsin and everywhere, and it's just so different. Like going in Upper Michigan is more like wooded and kind of swamp or whatever. And we researched down in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, and it is literally like primeval. It is like walking into like dinosaurs and prehistory and stuff in this huge forest. It is a completely different experience, and we've recorded stuff from these creatures in there as well, and it's amazing. So.
Well, next time you go, look at strategic locations on the map on Google Earth. Look on the inside of oxbows and around those areas. Look at intersections. I'm sure you know all this. Intersections of power lines, railways, rivers, bridges, roads. But when you find intersecting corridors, very often you'll find some of these structures out there. And if you do, please just drop a recorder. I'm not so many people out there, and they're really talented people. They're out there just placing recorders out in the middle of the woods. Based on what? And I heard a fellow say he had something like, I don't know, 1,000 hours or 500 hours, something like that. He said, why? Anymore, because this is so, time consuming. I leave the recorder on VCVA mode, and you're just getting the good chunks. The downside of that is you also miss something at the beginning. You might miss something in between. But I tell you, it's a very labor intensive. I don't recommend it for anybody. I'm a divorced dad. I had every other weekend going on, and my daughters are off living independently now. And it's like, I've got some time, and I've got this boyhood curiosity that I just can't satisfy, knowing that I really don't know much about these things. But other than the fact they are very real, they speak, and they can be your friend, they can be your foe. I have left my camp feeling very unwanted sometimes.
Absolutely. I agree. We have to take a really quick break here for station identification. And after that, we will be right back.
Show your support for the Untold Radio Network family of shows and join in on the conversation by using super stickers and super chats on YouTube. Got a question you want answered? Ask it live via a super chat and get real-time responses from our show's knowledgeable hosts and guests. Help keep the Untold Radio Network shows running strong. We need your support. Send your super chats and stickers now.
Are you interested in the paranormal, ghosts, spirits, and the metaphysical? How about Mothman, Bigfoot, and other cryptids? What about UFOs, UAPs, and other anomalous phenomenon? Then you need to check out Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. We have all that and more. Watch our series, Caps Road Trip, where we travel across the U.S. in search of these phenomena and bring you not only the history of these locations, events, and encounters, but evidence that we capture along the way. Alongside our team of researchers and investigators, you never know who will be joining in on the investigations. Are you interested in Bigfoot in Upper Michigan? Check out Finding Huyton, a series documenting the Sasquatch activity on a very special 80-acre property just outside of Menominee that has been a hotspot since 2012. Are you looking for something to listen to on your morning commute, road trip, or just hanging out? Head on over to our YouTube and check out one of our several podcasts hosted by members of the CAPS team. Topics and shows spanning everything from paranormal, UFOs, metaphysical, cryptids, and more. And if you're into spooky, check out our mini-series, Spirits of Menominee, which documents the paranormal activity of downtown Menominee, Michigan, or Spirits of Macville, where we investigate one very active location. Head on over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, and you won't miss a minute. All right, guys, we are back here. My guest today, we are live. just as we come back, he stands up.
Just fixing my fire.
That's all right.
I lost a log in the last segment.
Well, we are talking here live with James Lady. He is the founder of the Michigan Aboriginal Project. And again, we are live today. So if you guys have any questions or comments for him as we go, feel free to throw them in the comments section. We'll get to them as soon as we can. So we have a lot of audio here that you sent me. So I think, we've talked about stuff and where you got it and how you got it and your thoughts on it and stuff. So let's take a listen to some more of this stuff. Is there one in particular that you'd like to start with here?
Well, I think there's no single one. Those that I last sent you, I think, with the conventional speech and the melodic clicking and clucking, we already mentioned that earlier. So those, I think I sent you 3. They all have conventional speech. 2 of them are paired with the melodic clicking and clucking.
Okay. Those are the female vocals, you said, I believe.
Yeah. Well, except for the one, there's one conventional speech that I presume is a male or an elderly subject. Okay. And back to these wallows and these structures that I find to identify the wallows. I believe at night that the female and the young and the old of these species hang out there and commune. This is my current thinking. I may be wrong. And while the others are out, those able-bodied and such are out hunting and to provide for their tribe. So that's my current thought on that. So you got 2 female subjects. Both were recorded near Ann Arbor on the Huron River, and the other one that sounds like a softer, deeper voice was captured up north. The same teepee from which I got the chanting, the same teepee from which I got the multiple subjects throughout the valley communicating.
Very good. All right, so we have three files here to listen to. We'll start out with this one. Definitely has a like I said, like a female kind of tone to it, a very lighter.
Yeah. And if you listen very, very carefully, you can hear other subjects in the background. And I only know that because I'm familiar with their other vocal modalities. Let's move on to the other female subject, which was captured on the same footage, same night. It was the night of August 10th, 2022, my birthday night. And it's speech. This one says, Honey Hop Hoskins, votes to the east and to the Osfa. And right after that, it's got the melodic clicking and clucking.
Very good. All right, guys, if you are not listening to this on headphones or something, I suggest that it's a lot easier to hear. So maybe pause the recording here or go back a little bit, listen to the first one, but definitely check that out. All right, here we go.
Okay, that was actually the older, I presume, male subject up at this teepee where I captured other stuff. So the third one I sent you is the other female subject from the same footage as the first.
All right, so that should be this one. Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying there in the very beginning.
Yeah, and right after. So I don't know. We know they make them a lot of clicking and clucking. I don't know if it's emanating from the same subject who spoke the Honey Hop Hoskins bit, but it may very well be a response from another subject to her comment, or maybe completely unrelated. I have no idea. All I know is that it's on audio.
Whatever it is, it's there. Yeah, you can definitely hear it. It's not frogs or birds,
Yeah, and that first one was so beautiful. The Haniwa, or Shigiwanawa. It sounds Native American to me. I don't speak any Native American. Very, very. I know a few phrases. That's about it. But I have a little Cherokee blood in me, so I'm intrigued about. I want to know. And for your audience, if there's anybody out there with a connection, or maybe they are themselves a researcher and academic, I welcome any scrutiny from the academic community, from the scientific community. Bring it on, because I want to know more. I want to know what's going on here.
Absolutely. So You said that these were all recorded. The first ones were by Ann Arbor.
The first and third are
Yep.
along the Huron River, actually within the Ann Arbor city limits. That's southern Michigan.
Okay.
Any watershed, they live in our watersheds. This is my conclusion. I call them our rivers and stream system, even our drainage ditches, and I think storm drains as well. I believe that in Mount Clemens, just north of Detroit here, I believe that some, and I know they're along the Clinton River. I found structures there. I haven't recorded there, but I have observed some evidence that they may use the storm drains when they're closer to an urban setting. Yeah.
Well, my point going off of that was, you talked about the one being more northern Michigan, and I'm not sure about Michigan itself. I know northern Wisconsin and upper Michigan was Menominee tribe.
Okay. We are the Ojibwe tribe and the Ontonagon. I'm not perfectly clear on that, but we have two tribes in Michigan. One was a band of the Ojibwe, and I can't think of the other one right now. I should. Sorry, I gotta polish my my
I was
memory banks.
just thinking off of the lines of, if you're looking for language and stuff, it would be whatever tribal language would have been in that area is probably, like, you hear a lot of stories about them being able to communicate with the indigenous people of that area and stuff, the natives. So whatever tribe would have been in that area, like for
Yeah.
me, like upper Michigan would have been Menominee. So any of the Menominee language would be what you'd kind of try and listen for or see. So
Yeah,
something
and I
to-
welcome any of the listeners that have those inroads or contacts to tribal leaders or whomever. I'd be grateful to spend some time with them, review some of this. The other female vocal that came from the Huron is that Honey Hop Hoskins, Voice to the East and to the Osva. That to me does not sound Native American, and it's coupled with that melodic clicking and clucking, which is super cool. So I know they have their own language. I'm pretty sure that much of it has to be ancient, and it's just an amazing phenomenon. They do speak English, like that gremlinish figure I told you about. Saying, "Are you wreaking havoc?" and later saying, "Havoc, hate this man tomorrow." That's pretty unnerving stuff. If these beings, or some of these beings, if those that I encountered that night are in fact do have some sort of spiritual relationship or quality, I don't know. It'll keep me guessing forever, but it'll keep me going back to the woods.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit. The gremlin one that you're talking about. I don't think we have that to listen to. But when you were out there, like, was there anything weird that you were doing? Like, a lot of times people feel like building a fire brings these in, and fire is very, very havoc, very destructive and stuff. Like if you had a forest fire, it gets out of control, and you're causing that havoc. So when you got that vocalization, when you recorded it, was there anything that you were doing that was out of the ordinary? Was it the first time that you had been in there, or
Yeah,
what was the
totally.
situation
I've
like?
been there a number of years before. I go every year. I go twice a year to this very spot, early May and late October. They tend to be, no bugs and no people. That's what kind of like it. I'm okay out there on my own. And the most unusual thing for your audience, if you think I'm nuts, you're probably right. But the unusual thing is it's a Monday night. It was around 8 o'clock and it's raining out there and it's like 42 degrees. Who in their right mind would be out there in those conditions? Well, I planned my trips. This time actually it was a modification. It was a truncated trip, and I went earlier in the week because later in the week I wanted to attend the wake of a friend's mother's, friend's mother. So I did that, and this was the first night. It was October 21st, 2019. I had the recorder going. It was under under my tarp, and it was raining, and there was no fire. I had a little lamp, a low incandescent lantern hanging from my tent pole or the tarp pole, and I had a candle underneath the table to just give me enough light. So I did have somewhat of a dome of light. It probably didn't extend more than 4+ feet beyond the tarp, because it was low incandescent, that warm white light. I can't stand the bright white blinding stuff in the woods, and I forbid it for anybody who thinks they're going to join me on a very rare occasion, because I do most of my stuff alone. But yeah, that was an unusual night. And before that all went down, when I knew I was having an encounter, I did sense at times some like this percussive resonance on my eardrums. I thought, I'd clear my ears, and I don't know. It was just weird. And I felt that after those moments that I could actually hear audibly. I felt that again afterward, and that's their just unique and special ability to speak with one another, and while we're none the wiser. At times I could sense it, but I didn't know what it was at the time. I had no idea. It was only after I reviewed the audio, which is a month after I got home, after my nerves had calmed somewhat. Then I cleaned up that audio and realized what else was there and how many other unique vocal signatures there were on that. There were multiple subjects out there. And listen, I think I may have sent you a 1:20 clip. At the beginning of that, you have
2019. Yep.
Yeah, the 1:20 clip, and we can play that next. It begins with a cluck signaling. I'm just calling it because it sounds like exactly what it is. Cluck signaling between two subjects, one in the background, one goes cluck cluck in the background, and closer to the camp, there was a cluck cluck, another subject. And then that last 20 minutes or 1 minute 20 seconds, and you'll hear all sorts of madness. You'll hear that demonic. So you'll hear a heji lawa. And in those moments was a moment where I can say I believe I know what it's like to get zapped. My eardrums, it was like a static on my eardrums, or it was like someone was sanding the inside of my eardrums, my tympanic membranes, with like 60 grit. So I mean, it was really very uncomfortable. It didn't hurt a lot, but I was thinking, and it was disorienting. So around the time when you hear the heji lawa and some other madness, that was around the time when I had that resonance in the harsh resonance. It was there and very uncomfortable. Have you identified that clip?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're gonna give that a play here. Make sure if you guys are capable, put it on some headphones, turn it up, listen really close. Here we go. Very interesting.
Yeah, so the "Are You Wreaking Havoc" bit was in there. And if your audience were listening clearly, they could hear the "Are You Wreaking Havoc." Interestingly enough, I just noticed this now. It also has that pop, 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 the melodic clicking and clucking right after that expression. So I don't know what that is. I believe it's a vocal modality. I have no idea what it means.
Yeah. That's interesting. Is there any of you talking in there, or that's just
yeah, I'm in there. You could hear me. What did I say? I think I had an expletive in there. And toward the end, you can hear me saying I'm hearing weird
Yeah.
I think I say percussions in the wind, perhaps, or something like that. That's what I was sensing at the time. But you hear the cluck signaling at the beginning. Shortly after that, you have a vocal that sounds like Alberta gunfire. I had my 357 holstered on my hip, and I'm wondering, was that one of the subjects saying, "What about the gunfire? I mean, what about the gun? Are you?" Because they were gearing up. That cluck signaling tells me they were gearing up to give me a fright of my life, and it was one of the great frights of my life. But I never saw one that night. They never harmed me. It's weird. I mean, bizarre. Just a bizarre experience. Yeah. And I don't know if I'll ever hear that again. My other vocal recording was the juvenile on my YouTube channel, Michigan Aboriginal Project. There's a video titled "A Very Rude Awakening," and it was the same. It was the night after the morning that encounter happened. I saw that one. I heard what I thought initially. I was sleeping pretty deeply, and I hadn't for like 3 nights. And I heard what I thought was like a hissing, a gurgly, gravelly hissing. The recorder picked it up, and you can hear that vocalization, and it sounds demonic. Don't know if they are demonic. I just don't. But they have that harmonic resonant way of speaking, and this one had syllables and enunciation and prosody. It was bizarre. But I rolled over and I saw the subject. I'm on the ground, so he's less than 4 feet tall. And I saw this upright thing with the vague shape. I mean, it's 6 a.m. in the morning. It's still got a canopy of leaves above the trees. It was a late drop. But I saw it, and I said, "Hey." Once I, had to assess the situation, and still, I'm still trying to convince myself that it was real, or that I'm asking what it was. But I said, "Hey," it flinched, and then I said, "Get out of here!" And you can hear all this, and it just took off. And I heard maybe a step as it left. Other than that, I heard nothing. I did review the audio within the past few months, the hours before that, and they were there too. They were there long before that little, pardon my language, but little asshole woke me up. I mean, what kind, creation wakes another one up from a deep sleep? I mean, it's not fun. They're pranksters. Igor Bursev told me personally that they're pranksters. They'll do that. I think they're comfortable enough with me, having been there year after year, being there. And clearly, if one was concerned about the gunfire, I certainly proved that night that, I'm not going to go shooting blindly in the dark at all. I didn't see any eye shine. I didn't see a single subject that night. Though I thought moments after, the ha and the big boom, I honestly thought those were my last moments. And, be careful what you wish for, when you're out there in the woods. If you go looking for these things in the right places, you're going to give yourself away, and they'll come visit you, which is really, I guess, the ultimate goal. It's the path of least resistance. So another good reason to have your recorder going all the time.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be doing this.
Before I forget, what kind of audio recorder do you use?
I've got a few different ones. I should step off on vacation. I've got a Zoom, which isn't out right now. I got the Zoom. It records in only .wave. I use that around the camp a lot. I also have this Olympus DM720, and this is a cheap thing that a physician friend of mine gave me. Someone had given it to him. It does not have a computer interface, but on this recorder, the very first night I used it for only one night was at the same TP that I got the group around the chanting from, and also that quick ditty you played, the FFFing, SFT, coupled with the melodic clicking and clucking. That was the very same TP as well. So this one still has some pretty significant audio on it. I had to work with an engineer friend of mine how to get it off off this and onto digital, another digital format on my computer. So that happened, and the nearly 4 minutes, the first night I ever employed this recorder, is shared on a recording called Voices from the Depths of the Woods. And it's nearly 4 minutes of some vocalizations. You hear some really interesting stuff, even one that says helicopters. A deep voice that says, "Come with me," like "Come with me." It's really low, really low. And then helicopters, you have Kapika Swa, you have Autika Pika Hut, which is one of my favorite expressions. The one clip we played, the FFFim, SFTF, all it's still right on here. Maybe go to the highest bidder. Who knows? I'm between jobs right now, so I'm kind of tempted to. Oh, on that note, if anybody cares to buy a T-shirt from my spring store, please. It's a cool design. I designed it on my own. It's right here, and I have that Autika Pika Hut expression on the back of many of the designs I've done. So, in the past 2+ years that store's been open, I've made about $214. So it's not. I'm not in it for the money, people.
Yeah.
Although I will speak at a convention if ever invited. I was, but a lot of people don't know what to make of my recordings. They're different from the Sierra sounds. They're different from Mike Patterson's sounds. I have a history of conversation with Scott Nelson. I'm sure he's got enough on his plate, but I tried to reach out to him. I want more scrutiny on these recordings because they're really diverse. If they are the same creations, there are dialectic differences between those in southern Michigan, northern Michigan, and even the UP. I've picked up some differences of vocals. So I'm just going to keep on carrying on until I have enough to help us further understand the nature of these creations.
Very good. Wow. So I got to ask, because I know some people are out there wondering as well, when we watch that opening video out there, you see these teepee structures, and a lot of people believe that those are just made by, hikers or, was it bushcraft stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So what makes you believe that those specific ones in the video and that are not made by a person and those are actually made by these creatures?
I test them with audio. And there's some interesting details in some of these that your average Joe would not really pay attention to. There are some finishing touches which are unique and some intertwining or arresting of certain, detritus or tree litter or material that you wouldn't expect from a bushcrafter out there. I know they're out there, but the only way to test is really leave a recorder there overnight for a few nights, see what you get, and much of the audio that I have, some of it, most is amplified and cleaned up to some extent. It's like when I do a photographic image, I want it cleaned up just enough to elicit an emotional response to that. It's got to be perfect, right? You don't want to alter it in such a way that it takes away from the image. So when I do my enhancements, I approach the audio much like I do my photographic imagery. You have a raw image, you're not gonna, it's not saleable. You can't put it into any sort of exhibit without a little extra work doing it. People out there, I'll leave names outside of it because some of the academics drive me nuts. Call that distorted. It's distorted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're calling my artistic images distorted, then you're clearly a scientist without a heart or an emotional capability. That's just my take on it. But I use technology to enhance what's there, and much of what I can hear reflecting on these vocal modalities that are so subtle that we miss them in the woods. If we tune into that, we can actually detect it sometimes, and that's some of it's very difficult to hear. You amplify it with little steps at a time, clean it up again with little steps at a time, and see what's really there. Because they speak a lot. Much of what, mostly the speech that they engage in is just not detectable by our ears, save for the loud, conventional stuff that, they scare the hell out of us with sometimes.
Yeah, the one that we got a growl was the first time that I've heard anything like that, and it was down in Burlington, Wisconsin. And not again to say that they're any kind of demons or whatever, but you're very right. I would call it demonic. It is just a very low guttural sound that shakes you.
Feel.
Yeah. So I definitely understand where we're coming from with the demonic tone to that, but it's amazing.
And it could be. I don't know. Before that, the season before, it was the May before that little one woke me up. It was earlier in 2022. I had a good 9-footer outside, about 25, 30 feet from my tent. And I'm an old man. I woke up to take a leak and was wondering if I wait till morning. I didn't even know what time it is. Once you look at your clock, your mind starts going. Anyway, so I'm thinking, do I pee or do I didn't? I decided to do it. But while I was contemplating, I looked up. There was this figure, looked like a Sasquatch, backlit by a near full moon. I got to look at the date and see what the moon phase exactly was. But it was a near full moon, very bright. And it was just standing there. Then I got up and did my business, and I went back to bed, and it's still there. Saying, okay, so if it's still there after, I pee in my tent now. I have a little urinal in there with the cap, and I don't go outside of the tent anymore. Number one, you're going to wake up more than you care to, and who knows what you're going to run into, right? So I got back into the sack, and I'm looking up. It's still there. I convinced myself that it was like an arborvitae that I just didn't notice or had forgotten about. No, it was gone the next morning. The next night, very similar lighting conditions, gone. But it was cool. I just kind of marveled at it. It was just standing there. It was a good 9 feet. I'm saying 9 feet soft. It was just awesome. And then I wait a few months later for my fall trip, and that little, less than 4 foot guy wakes me up and terrifies me and makes me leave my camp a day early. That was super unnerving. That was crazy. And I'm glad. Oh, and my recorder that it was captured on, it got drowned by 8 o'clock, because that happened at 6 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, it had gotten drowned and quit. So it dried out nicely. The file was uncorrupted, and you can hear that in the Very Rude Awakening on the Michigan Aboriginal Project YouTube channel. It's scary. And imagine those sounds coming out of, that guy was less than 4 foot tall. Imagine the sounds and terror that can emanate from something that's 9 foot or bigger. Imagine the lung capacity. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
I'd rather be their enemy. Right?
Yeah. We are almost out of time here on this episode, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments section. We'll get to them before we head out here. We got a few more files here to go through. You have the one here from August, or 3 here from August 11th, and the one has the boom in it. Is that the one that you've kind of been talking about here?
The boom. Oh, that's 2020. I was thinking a different year. That's up in the UP. I had run into a waitress. Her name is Lisa from the local town. She said she saw one of these things. It was huge and black. And so I went to where and that's when I found this, what I call a vocal village. This is a 50-some second clip. At the beginning, it starts with that boom. It's the same boom that I experienced at the October 21st, 2019 encounter that you hear soon after the Achichichuha and all that kind of stuff. So this gets weird. And 2/3 of the way through this next clip, if it's that 50-second clip, the Hanzo file, you'll hear Hanzo about 10 seconds into it, and you'll hear some barking, and toward the end you hear one kind of barking as it goes off. I've often wondered if these Dogman, creations, they may have been there as well. I don't know. I suspect that I may have over my days recorded different cryptids. I can't say for sure, but you hear some weird stuff in this clip. Go for it.
All right, here we go. Wow.
Yeah, I was camping about a mile from there, give or take a little bit. And that's where the waitress told me she saw one. And I found tons of structures. You asked before, how do I know that, bushcrafters didn't make this? Well, what kind of people are we talking about? Number one, because I do believe there are people. But they're, yeah, and that's clearly communication. It didn't sound very happy. And that weird humming 2/3 of the way through it, I have no idea what that is. I've heard people say that the orbs, which I've never seen, I'd like to. Sometimes the orbs have a deep humming resonance to them. I don't know. I don't know what that is. It could be a vocal for all I know. And until I know otherwise, I kind of presume it is. But then again, we know so little about this subject as a collective. Even though I think my stuff is pretty novel, there's so much more to learn.
Absolutely. Oh, you're right. With those orbs of light and stuff, if that's balls of energy, energy has audio and sound to it as well. So if you have that resonance, that sound frequency, it's possible that you are recording the sound of orbs,
Yeah, I'd love to see one someday. Uri Geller, I remember him telling a story. Uri Geller, when he was a boy, and he actually made contact. He touched one. I think he kind of attributes that to having passed on some supernatural abilities that he was able to prove. In my point, I mean, CIA worked with him. I mean, his abilities were, I don't think anything fabricated whatsoever.
I got to see up at the Hayden Adventure in Upper Michigan in Menominee there, I saw a blue basketball size orb.
So cool. So cool.
We actually got it on thermal imager. And it's not hot, it's not cold. It looks like a soap bubble. So it's literally just a circle that moves across the screen, like an outline of a circle.
Could you see any content inside? Any moving colors or swirly kind of weird?
Not with my eyes, and not on the thermal. The thermal literally is just a circle. It's you clearly see the outline, but it would be like looking at a soap bubble. It's just a circle, clear, not hot, not cold. Looks like it blends in clear through the rest of the background with it. That's on the Caps YouTube channel. You can see that. But yeah, it was just blue, kind of like a deep neon blue. So
neat, very neat. Keep your distance. Don't feed the orbs.
Don't feed the orbs. Awesome. I'm gonna give a quick look through here. There's a lot of stuff in the chats here. Just this guy says I live close to Sterling Heights.
How you doing, man? Neighbor.
I live off the Clinton, is that reservation RV?
Yeah, the river. That's it. The Clinton River is a corridor. Go up to Dodge Park, my friend, and after you cross the bridge, take a right. I took a left the only time I've ever been there. Only other time I've been there, I did find a structure, but I understand if you go off to the right, you're going to find some of these structures. And Scott, please drop a recorder, share your stuff. It's the only way we're going to learn more. I think I've been gifted in being able to figure out some of this more subtle stuff that is of the otherworldly and practically unbelievable stuff, but I believe they are another vocal modality of these Sasquatch people, Sabe people, whatever they want to call them.
Very good. There's a tribe by Sutton Bay, Michigan. It is the Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians. So
this is great information. Thank you, Lori. That's awesome.
Lee says you can hear everything very well in the audio. This was a comment about you carrying the gun. She said she believes if you say out loud that you're carrying the gun for protection and not planning to use it, that'll set their minds at ease.
Yeah, and I have done that. And I've showered actually buck naked, and I hear their clicking and clucking going off in their woods. It was pretty interesting. It was one of the hot days. It was the spring 2022 when it was really hot. It's the same time I saw the arborvitae Sasquatch, and Yeah, I have, but I have no fear. I'm increasingly not fearful of these beings. They like to watch, um, um, you know, and they like to watch as I'm showering naked. Yes, they're voyeurs. Sasquatch are voyeurs.
Well, I mean, they come in, watch around camps and stuff. I think this is well established. I mean, so
If they saw me naked, they'd probably be thankful that they were born Sasquatch. And
yeah. So Scott, the guy that we were talking to earlier, says that you guys need to talk. So how can he get a hold of you?
Well, I'm James Lady on Facebook, and I have the Michigan Aboriginal Project as a group on Facebook. And I don't feed the algorithms. I mean, in the past month, past 28 days, the metrics on the YouTube, I have like 150 views, and 10.3% of that is from the United States. So I don't know. My audience is not primarily the United States. I wish it to be, because this is our own backyard. And Scott, let's talk. I have no problem with that. Reach me through YouTube or my website, MichiganAboriginal.com. And please buy a T-shirt.
He says
I thought I'd grow up to be a Sasquatch T-shirt and sticker salesman.
He lives within walking distance of Dodge Park.
That's beautiful. Yep. That's a corridor all up and down the Clinton. You're going to find, and when you get to the Rouge and down to the Huron, you're gonna find more signs. And they live in our water systems. They're the closest thing to an Edenic, place on Earth. Anywhere along our watersheds, you're going to have populations of these things.
Absolutely. Lori says that she has encountered many in Leelanau
County. Yeah, Leelanau. There's a peninsula there. It's a very, very beautiful place, and it's where I believe it's north. That's Leelanau County. I don't know if the Sleeping Bear Dunes are within Leelanau County or not, but it's all in the same neighborhood. And yes, there are some interesting things. As a matter of fact, that Road 22 before you get into what's the town? Fishtown, Leland, and right off Lake Leelanau. There's it might be within 5 minutes south of town, northbound side of 22. You'll find a structure in off to the right. So, Lori, if you're ever driving up that way, look around. You can find structures off the road. First time I found that, it was during my honeymoon, almost 5 years ago. Yeah.
And Lori, thank you for being a Super Chats member, by the way, as well. Appreciate it. And they agree with your watershed theory as well, Lori does.
Yeah. That's where life is. It's going to hang out where the water is.
Very good. All right. Well, I think that's just about it here. Lilo County, the Dunes.
Right on. Yeah, check out Sleeping Bear Dunes, folks. And it's like a few years ago, I think it was one of the most popular tourist destinations. It's really, Michigan, it has so much to offer. And both the UP and the Lower Peninsula are all very different. And it's just one of the best darn states to live in. I love it. I'm an avid angler. Thank you, Lori. A photographer, a lot of my fodder, a lot of my angling art is, from the Michigan fish here. This is one piece of mine, skin of a brook trout. So yeah, Michigan, and it's full of Sasquatch. I hired Cliff Barrickman here. He was up doing a conference in West Branch, so I got him at a little discounted rate. God bless him. He's a terrific guy and an excellent presenter. It was the first time. This is back in 2019, and I had only been recording for some months. My stuff was very green, if you will. My audio cleanup capabilities were not that good at the time. I was using a free version of software. I've since grown up and gotten something really, something good. So doesn't have the faults of the free systems. Where was I going with that?
Cliff Barrickman.
Oh, Cliff Barrickman, yeah. He believes there are like a population of 200 in Michigan. Someone asked him. And I say, I say 200 is a fraction of those in the UP alone. And there are thousands in the Lower Peninsula, because I could not consistently get the results I'm consistently getting if there were only 200 in Michigan. That's just, I think it's a really low estimate as to, where they are. People think we're overpopulated now as a people. We're really not. I mean, this earth can handle such an abundance, can handle twice the population, not overnight, of course. I mean, populations evolve, and our ability to support them, move along with it.
Very good. Awesome.
So
Very
yeah,
good.
there are monsters in Michigan.
Absolutely.
Along the edge, monsters on the edge of our waterways,
Exactly.
and our lakes. It's the truth. And it's an amazing thing. I mean, I believe there is some risk at doing this, but I'm more of the belief that you're going to be okay going out there. Just be respectful. Don't be an asshole. Don't shoot. Do not shoot, because that's not going to end well for anybody. I believe that. Do I have any proof? No, I don't. But people do disappear in the woods, and I don't know why. And we all know. I mean, remember Casey, like a 3-year-old kid who was lost in near winter conditions. It was like an ice storm for Casey Hathaway or something like that, down the Carolinas. He said he was hung out with a bear for 2 nights and most of 3 days. I don't believe that at all. I believe it was one of these hairy cousins that may have taken him, kidnapped him, but certainly took care of him after that abduction. And hey, he was found safe and well. That's an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, James. Well, thank you so much for being on here this week.
thank you, Barney.
Absolutely
Grateful.
great show. Definitely the links that you said are in the show notes for today's episode. So if you guys missed anything, go back and click and check that out. Otherwise, again, your website is Michigan Aboriginal Project, correct?
No, it's the website is MichiganAboriginal.com.
There we go.
The YouTube or the Facebook channel is Michigan Aboriginal Project, and that's the same name as my YouTube channel. So the Facebook group, Michigan Aboriginal Project, same thing on YouTube. So check it out. Go down, the rabbit hole. I've done it for you, so you don't have to perhaps lose your fiance. My fiance almost left me when I was in this rabbit hole obsessive phase. My response to that would be very unfortunate for both of us. And we've gotten past that. She's my wife now, nearly 4.5 years now, nearly 5. And in answer to a prayer, she's been more tolerant than most women would have been with this subject. So, gentlemen, ladies out there, I've gone down the rabbit hole for you. This can be an all-consuming thing, and in a way, it is, because I think it's never too far from my mind. I'm always thinking about it, but it's the only way in these crazy days that I can stay sane.
Absolutely, I hear you, man.
Something that's palpable and real.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for coming on, and look forward to chatting with you again sometime.
Yeah, well, hang on after you close the show, and I'll tell you exactly where to go up in the UP.
Absolutely, will do, man.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right, guys, that is it for this week's episode. As I said, the links and stuff are in the show notes there. Coming up next week, Tim and Eric Vogel will be on the show. They have a Bigfoot cast, some cool footprints and other evidence that they will be sharing on the show. So Tim and Eric Vogel will be on next week right here on Monsters on the Edge on the Untold Radio Network. And guys, I know this is Bigfoot and stuff, but if you're into the paranormal and spooky and all that stuff, coming up April 4th, starting April 4th here on the Untold Radio Network, I am going to be the host of a brand new show, 10 a.m. every Thursday. It is going to encompass everything from UFOs, yeah, if you guys are interested, check that out. Starts on April 4th. We are going to be doing a all UFO UAP overview on the first episode. So if you need some catching up on all that stuff, what's been going on around the world with Congress and different other nations, Congresses and stuff about all the disclosure and that's what we're going to be doing. So tune in, check it out, and I hope you enjoy it. And until next time, guys, I'm your host, Barnaby, and I'll see you on the edge.